Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
We're going to go ahead and move on to our next House Bill 1194. House Bill 1194 at this point. I'm going to pass the gavel over to my trusted Vice Chair.
Thank you. Well, I'll let you.
Representative Kirschman.
Soli.
Should I read the title? This is an act to revise the authority of the state's attorneys to take action regarding certain local open government violations. Good morning, committee, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I'm Representative Patrick Kirschman, District 15, Sioux Falls. I'm here today in support of 1194. This is a home rule charter jurisdictions and communities. Oh, this is for home rule charter jurisdictions and communities are not allowed access to open meetings laws. According to the Minnehaha County State's Attorney, a 2015 letter, if a home rule committee violates its own open meetings requirements, the state's attorney is not authorized to interfere or authorize the complaint to move to an open meetings committee for a hearing. The city of Sioux Falls missed its more strict posting deadline required by ordinance, and to cover up the error, it declared a special meeting at the regular time with a regular agenda just in time for the state required 24-hour deadline. This was an attempt to circumvent the rule and spirit of the law. We are here today to ask the committee and this legislature to require all South Dakota governmental units to follow open meetings laws, their bylaws, their ordinances, and as the state law requires. This legislation allows the public to file open meetings complaints if deadlines are missed by revising the authority of the state's attorney to take action regarding these certain open meetings violations. Thank you.
Do we have any other proponent testimony on House Bill 1194?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the local government committee. I'm Bruce Danielson, a resident of the city of Sioux Falls. I'm part of a small citizens group, Citizens for Integrity, which actively watches the processes of our city government. And I'm here today to speak in support of HB 1194. In 2015, we found our city did not post the Tuesday night city council agenda on the Friday by 5 p.m. deadline as required by ordinance. The city clerk also had a backup time to post any changes by the 12 p.m. Monday morning for last minute changes. None of these deadlines were met, and the city attorney at the last minute created a special meeting to be held at the regular time with the regular agenda because we caught them on it. The meeting was held anyway without citizens being able to organize efforts pro and con on several measures. I filed an affidavit with the Open Meetings Committee through our local state's attorney. The affidavit was rejected because the state's attorney said he had no jurisdiction in home rule charter open meeting issues. In 1973, I was a legislative employee here in this building so I could experience the process of creating laws. One of the concepts strongly pushed during the session was open government or sunshine laws. As these theories and the eventual laws were passed to protect the citizens' right to know, they allowed us to know when and where the public's meetings were to be held, and then to know what was to be discussed in a timely manner. The city of Sioux Falls is a home rule charter community, one of 9 or so to have this distinction in South Dakota. The principles and laws governing home rule charter jurisdiction, in layman's terms, say if the constitutions of the United States and South Dakota, in conjunction with the laws of both entities, do not cover a subject, the charter and ordinances must be followed or adhered to. Conversely, if the same constitutions and laws prohibited the jurisdiction, it cannot be in conflict. We asked the committee and the 2016 South Dakota legislature to support our efforts to allow the 175,000 people of Sioux Falls and the other home rule charter towns to be allowed to submit issues to the Open Meetings Committee for help. An out-of-control process does not serve or protect the people in a democracy. The citizens of Sioux Falls and the rest of the home rule charter communities deserve the protections afforded all of the rest of South Dakota. By supporting HB 1194, you'll provide these protections. I thank you and will be available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any other proponent testimony on House Bill 1194? Any other proponent testimony on 1194? Seeing none, we will move into opponent testimony. Do we have any opponent testimony on House Bill 1194?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the House Local Government Committee, gentlemen, once again, registered lobbyists for the South Dakota Municipal League. We think House Bill 1194 would start this legislature down a rather slippery slope if we're going to allow state's attorneys to being able to provide prosecutions for violation of local ordinances. Quite frankly, I don't know of any state's attorney who's looking for more work. I think their workload is quite heavy. I know it is in my county. And more particularly, we feel that there's already a process in place. If a city employee is not doing their job, Title 3, Chapter 17 allows for removal of office for nonfeasance, malfeasance, or misconduct. So if somebody's not doing their job and there is it's a serious violation, the state's attorney can already step in and start the process for removal of that officer for misconduct, nonfeasance, malfeasance, and other grounds set forth in statute as it currently exists. And for that reason, we would ask you to oppose House Bill 1194.
Thank you. Any other opposing testimony, House Bill 1194? Any other opponent testimony on 1194? Seeing none, I'll offer the sponsor of the bill or somebody a short rebuttal.
Bruce Danielson, Sioux Falls. One of the things that we've run into in the last several years in Sioux Falls in trying to deal with the home rule charter situation is we're just a group of citizens. And when we spot problems and we have our rights abused, it's usually because somebody in the city administration is trying to cut corners somewhere and trying to short circuit our ability to come and talk to them. This is what's happened. There were several issues on the night of that particular piece of that agenda, and the legislation that was put forth that night caused a whole series of property owners who didn't have their rights to come and discuss an issue. We've had a couple other situations where we've had resolutions put before the council without anybody knowing that it was going to happen, and it was only those of us who happened to be sitting in the room and knew that something was wrong were allowed to be there to have anything to say about it. What we're asking for is not to be able to put more work onto the state's attorney. We're asking, as a group of citizens who live in this town of 175,000 people, to be able to go to somebody and say, our rights have been abused, and we want to be able to say something about it and have somebody come and help us. And so for that reason, we've been trying to find ways to deal with a city attorney's office that has at least 9 attorneys in it. And they work full-time to find ways and loopholes, as we call them, in the process. And this is just another place they have found a loophole where they have been able to play with the game. We recently fought an issue, I'm sorry to take you so long, but we recently fought an issue in Sioux Falls where they were going to take away our ability to have a posted agenda in the amount of time that even the city council members were upset about. They were going to change it to the requirement of state law, which in Sioux Falls means they were going to change the posting to 5 o'clock on Monday for the 7 o'clock meeting on Tuesday. And the city council members who aren't in the leadership didn't even know what was going to happen. They didn't even know this was coming to them until it got thrown at them at the last minute. And so it's these situations where city council members actually even got upset in that whole process. And they asked to have it changed, and they voted that change down. And now we would like, as citizens of this town and the other home rule charter communities, if any of us have a problem, we want to be able to go somewhere and have redress. Currently, we have no place to go. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now open it up to committee questions. Representative Soli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for Mr. Hood. Thank you. In your testimony, you mentioned that on the Municipal League, or on their behalf, that there is a way to hold people accountable, officials accountable for the kind of thing that this bill is meant to cover. And if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is you would have to actually remove someone from office over this, what would be an open meeting violation. And I'm wanting to check if that is really what you're saying. And the other part of the question, I'll put them both together, is what recourse do people have over the kinds of things Mr. Danielson has described besides removing from office?
Mr. Chair, thank you, Representative Soli, for those questions. Yes, grounds for it would be required for removal of office, and that is done by the state's attorney under Title 3, Chapter 17. And the bill at 1194 as written, the proponents keep referring to home rule charter cities, and the bill as written applies to every municipality, not just home rule cities. And it is amending Chapter 125, which relates to violation of open meeting laws. And those violations are handled by the state's attorney, and I'm not unaware of the situation in Sioux Falls where the state's attorney apparently said they don't have jurisdiction to prosecute violations of the open meeting laws because Sioux Falls is a home rule city. I'm not familiar with that case, but that doesn't, to me, seem to be the case. I've practiced law for over 40 years and was a city attorney for 25 of those years. And we see state's attorneys investigating the violation of open meeting laws all the time when a complaint is filed. I hope I've answered your question.
Representative Soli.
Thank you. So if I'm understanding you correctly, that this state's attorney should be taking this up in any municipality, and you've seen that happen, and you're not aware why in this particular instance that person refused?
I am not aware, but the state's attorney has an obligation to investigate any complaint of violation of the open meeting laws.
More, I'm just trying to understand this. So what would be the recourse for these folks who are here saying that there isn't, they hit a brick wall? Is there other recourse besides passing the state law?
Certainly, I think they could file a formal complaint, and if the complaint isn't acted upon, I think they could pursue that violation either for removal from office or file a complaint in circuit court. But I think there are avenues to proceed with the violation.
Legal avenues.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. I appreciate it.
Representative Greenfield.
Thank you, sir. This question is for Mr. Danielson, please.
Bruce Danielson.
I was wondering, our local government committee acted on a bill, House Bill 1066, earlier this year. Are you familiar with it?
I remember the number, if you could remind me.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
I was just wondering if this bill would help you, and obviously it hasn't been put into actual law yet, but it is a bill that where groups have to post for 2 continuous days their agenda before they can have a meeting. And that bill cannot be posted on a Friday and then have the quick meeting on a Monday. The weekend is not taken into account. And I was just wondering if this bill would somehow alleviate the problems that you're seeing, as far as what I heard you say is it's an agenda that they have, they quick post it for 2 hours later and then nobody knows about it. But this is one that we did act on, House Bill 1066.
Mr. Chair, Representative Greenfield, when I read that bill originally, and I forgot what number it was, I very wholeheartedly agreed with that concept. In this process that we've been going through, what we've run into is a stipulation, and this is why this legislation was carefully crafted, so that way we could cover any jurisdiction in the state would have to follow its rules. And if they don't have a set of rules for this incident, then the state law would cover it. Well, in Sioux Falls, we have a more stringent rule than state law. As I understood 1066, it excluded municipalities. So unless it got changed after I read it. So I wanted to come up here and describe the situation that we have in Sioux Falls with a city attorney's office that is always very busy trying to find ways to keep us from being able to know things. And so this piece of legislation, we've learned through the letter, the affidavit that was sent to us from State's Attorney McGowan, essentially said that because we are home rule charter, open meetings laws don't fully apply, and that we would have to find another way to redress our issues by going to court. And so we were trying to get around the loophole that they had found in the law. So in the crafting of this, that was the explanation that giving all the information to the researchers that they were able to come up with to solve this problem of the loophole.
Thank you. Representative Tulson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a clarification, so you're saying the home rule charter, the open meetings laws do not apply, is that correct?
That's correct. In the way that they had stated it, we were to have open meetings, but we have no place to go to appeal the decisions that were made. We were told in this letter, and in my personal conversation with the writer of the letter, we as citizens of Sioux Falls, if we file an open meetings complaint, it's just going to go in the dead letter file and then sent on to the Open Meetings Committee for a report. But they won't hear the issue.
Follow up, Mr. Chair? So the Open Meetings Commission did not hear the complaint?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Representative Conzet?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You might receive a letter.
I thought I had it with me. I will go back in my briefcase and check again.
Okay, my next question is you've been given the option of taking this to court action. What came out of that?
Well, we're just citizens, and we're not flush with money, and it's really hard to find attorneys to do all of these things. We have informal advisors to help us, and they all said that open meetings laws require the state's attorney to look at it and take action. And so we're trying to go through the citizens' right to appeal to the government directly, and we were asked to file an affidavit and work through the process, and then if that didn't work, then we would have to see what would be next. We did the process. We found out that the process was flawed, and so then it was recommended that we try to work something out with the legislature and some legislation to correct the problem.
You say you did the process, so you did go to court on this issue?
No, we didn't have the money, and we also found out that since none of us are lawyers, that we don't have enough standing to go to take it to court. You know, we don't know all the rules. And you know, I'm a computer programmer, and I work with a bunch of other people who are computer programmers, or you know, advertising people, and we have retired people. We have this loose group of individuals, and we see a problem and we want to have some help with it, and we couldn't find anybody to help us out on this issue, and we have several others, but this one became very egregious last year.
Representative Heinemann?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for the sponsor. It would appear, and I appreciate your bringing this forward as a question, but it would appear that in the past, the stakeholders have been, in particular, the media, and they have not come forward with this, in particular to the open meetings law. Can you tell the committee possibly whether you considered that option or whether there's a reason for that? Thank you.
No, I didn't approach them. I just thought this was a Sioux Falls problem that we bring forward. I didn't talk to the newspaper association.
Thank you.
Representative Rosa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a question for Mr. Hood. If in fact this is true, that somehow home rule can escape the public meeting rules that we have for everybody else, shouldn't we go through the front door on this and add it into statute that they also are subject to public posting for 24 hours?
Chair. Mr. Chair, Representative Rosem, I believe it's my opinion that home rule, the charter cities are covered by the open meeting laws of the state of South Dakota. And I find it interesting, as Representative Heinemann questioned, if this was truly a concern that the representatives of the media, the Argus Leader and the various news and media outlets weren't up in arms and outraged at this. And like I say, I'm not familiar with the facts in this particular case, but it certainly seems.
Yes, we have a clarification maybe from LRC on a question.
Roxanne Hammond, legislative attorney from the LRC. To clarify, these open meetings laws do apply, and even the home rule are under these particular statutes. If my memory is correct, the situation at hand was the city did not violate the state's open meetings laws. They violated their own ordinance, the period of time they had set out in their own ordinance, and the state's attorney declined to prosecute under that city ordinance because it was not, as the state's attorney claimed, under the state's open meeting laws.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further questions, I'm going to close the public hearing portion on House Bill 1194. Now we'll open it up to either committee comments or action.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Soli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to pass.
I have a do pass motion by Representative Soli, seconded by Representative Hawks on House Bill 1194. Do we have any comments on that motion?
Yes, sir. Thank you. see this as fixing a loophole. We've done in good faith, our state's attorney, but if the state's attorney is handling these kinds of things in other municipalities, I don't see any reason, and this isn't going to add work or anything like that. It just covers the loophole and makes it clear that they would need to rule even though it's municipality issue. And seems like a simple fix for a problem that relates to open meetings. Thank you.
Additional comments? Representative Rosen?
I move an alternate motion to the 41st day.
I have a substitute motion, move the 41st day on House Bill 1194, first by Representative Rosen, second for Representative Conzet. Do we have any comments on that?
I do. This is not a state's attorney's issue. This is the city of Sioux Falls issue. It's a municipal issue, and that's where it needs to stay. I just don't think we sit up here acting as attorneys for the city of Sioux Falls if they're not following their own rules. Thank you.
Additional comments? Seeing none, the question at hand is the move to the 41st day, House Bill 1194. Those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. I'll have the secretary call the roll.
Representatives Bruner.
Aye.
Craig.
Aye.
Greenfield.
Aye.
Hawks.
No.
Heinemann.
Aye.
Marty.
No.
Twom.
Aye.
Rosem.
Aye.
Shanefish.
Aye.
Soli.
No.
Tulson.
Aye.
Otten.
No.
Conzet.
Aye.
The vote is 9 yea, 4 nay.
By a vote of 9 to 4, House Bill 1194 will be sent to the 41st day.
Don't come back now. Here.